This is the NBA Storyteller.
Nicknames. I can't even tell you how important a nickname is to an athlete. It's like their lifeblood. It's the only thing that keeps them alive beyond what they actually do on the court. It's so important. But for the sheer importance of a nickname, we do not have an official or traditional way of going about this process. And for every successful nickname that sticks, there's 50,000 that flop and suffocate.
He doesn't like Tarantula. He doesn't like Slim Reaper. He likes KD.
KD is not a nickname. That's just a thing that we call you.
That's got to be for Kid Dynamite or Kevin Dominant. He's ours. He's here. Kevin Durant.
And we need to differentiate between a nickname and things we just call people. Yeah. And at the top of the food chain, there's no better nickname than the one that is meant to coexist with your last name. Not the ones that are just crammed in the middle, but a word that becomes interchangeable as your own. Air, magic, king. Things like Dr. Duncanstein or the Worm, these were never capable of making it to the full metamorphosis into a primary identifier. Do you even know who the Worm is? You should. Then there's the truth. The answer. The big O. The big ticket. The thes. I like these. These are like level 2 nicknames. They stick. They do get commercial campaigns.
He's the answer and the problem.
But we don't always remember them. They never make the full Fosbury flop into being interchangeable with their name. Most of the time, they become an add-on, an exclamation point, a qualifier, just a middle name. It's not like we ever started calling Allen Iverson Answer Iverson. That's kind of interesting, kind of has a ring to it. The other one is The Truth, Paul Pierce.
The truth.
We never made that transition to Truth Pierce or just Truth, even if some people tried, even if it happened in his own life.
That summer, it was kind of weird to me, usually everybody called me, what's up, P squared, P double, P. And then it was like, some of my friends was like, what's up, Truth? And I was like, that got a kind of good ring to it.
It never branched out to all of us. To show you how vital nicknames are, some folks can have an outstanding career and never really pick up a good nickname, and as a result, not get remembered quite as much. Or even the ones who get some sort of insider low-level nickname, like Kareem, the captain.
They call him the captain. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
And legitimately here, I believe this is a huge reason why he's not recognized as the GOAT. I mean, shit, the GOAT. There's a nickname right there. Someone who has benefited, but may have achieved nickname status just a little too late, is Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. This was not his nickname throughout his entire career, and it's unfortunate. Actually, the entire nicknaming process for him is a textbook debacle. If you wanted Hakeem to be in every top 5 discussion, he's got the career, but he doesn't have the nickname for it. He should have been referred to as Dream Olajuwon. You drop the. We learned that in the Facebook movie.
Drop the. Just Facebook.
If he was Dream Olajuwon, and this was the case for most of his career, I guarantee nobody would forget him when they're talking top 5 anything. Because you know what's super stupid? Our arguments are based on what we know and what we can remember. And what's easier to remember than a cool, made-up nickname? To go one step further, there's a whole class of players who have solely survived on the weight of their nickname. There's decent players like George the Iceman Gervin.
You got this. You cool.
This man should go find whoever gave him that nickname, whatever local beat writer or cousin from back in high school, and pay him some royalties, because the name has given his career staying power. But just to dip my toe in our final discussion today, the greats will have representation in many of these buckets. Dr. J was the man's name. The only variant there was it wasn't Dr. Irving. They just simplified it, and I believe it helped. Irving is never a winner. Dr. J was also known as the Doctor.
And the Doctor made a sensational play.
What was obviously taken to another dimension was magic. We don't need to spend much time here, but it seems there was never a stop at the magic. Irvin the Magician. I've heard the Magic Man, but that didn't really work. Something about the word magic itself. It's almost elemental. It's a thing that just is there, it just exists. It doesn't need the. Magic is a standalone word, like earth, like air. Adding the almost grounds it. It floats. Anyway, when it's done right, the name takes on a life of its own, and as unruly and as random as it seems, if a nickname sticks, it creates an entire industry that can lift you and carry you through the ages. Okay, all that was to just get you thinking about one guy, Kobe the Mamba Bryant. When Kobe Bryant introduced us to the Mamba, because he did.
Well, it was always there.
It was always there. It just identified.
Let's put a name to it.
Yeah.
He also broke every nicknaming process and rule, spat on any decorum, and dunked on any basic civilized understanding we have of nicknames and the process in which we give them. Listen, there are only 5 different people that can give you a proper nickname. Starting in reverse, a teammate. A teammate at any level is allowed to give you a nickname. Ideally, it's somebody from high school or college, because you want these nicknames to last your entire career. Also, your college announcers or local sports writers. These people are allowed to give you a nickname. They're allowed to try out many nicknames, but ideally they nail it the first time. Then, prior to that, a high school assistant coach or equipment manager. Number 4, and finally, your cousin. Primarily a cousin you grew up with who ended up not doing much with their life because the cousin needs to have this as their claim to fame, giving you the nickname. Oh yeah, and Shaq. Shaq seems to hand out a few nicknames now and then.
All appears with truth. That's what you should call him from now on.
Obviously, there's another level to this, which is your parents. Parents can give you a nickname, but that is usually a disaster because you end up with a nickname like Booby or Kiki. Rule number 2, your nickname must be a result of something you did on the court. Rule 3, only in a very rare circumstance can your nickname be taken on at a later point in your life. Kobe, dear Kobe, he took a look at this list, pulled his pants down, and wiped his ass with this. And you know why? Because he knows nicknames are so much more. They can be an alternate persona you can lose yourself in. You can go into this dark place called a nickname to do the bad things you need to do. It's like our weird affinity to give murderers and serial killers nicknames. What the hell is that about? Why do we love giving nicknames to all the horrible people? Nicknames are for things we think are cool, right? No? Well, that's never been true. We always apply alternate personas to the people we could not fully grasp or understand or get our arms completely around. And then our athletes. And you know what? In their field, we want them to be quote-unquote killers, conquerors. We want them to have a killer instinct, that maniacal monstrous streak or whatever. That's some weird human psychology in there. So Kobe, knowing all of this, because he's super smart, poised, and precise, at least that's the man he became, he knew all of this. So when it came time to unveil his alternate persona, this character he chose, well, the Mamba.
And I'm Little Mamba.
The deadliest snake known to this world was very fitting. And even though Kobe ripped up our nicknaming rules and regulations, he checked off every other box for what we want as a primary species living out destruction fantasy in our sports athletes. He checked every dark, lizard-brained desire we crave. Of history's great destroyers, he found the nastiest, most lethal creature. You know what? We all fell for it. We just said, sure, man, yeah. You just gave yourself a nickname, and you want to build a whole shoe line from it and goddamn logo? Okay, all good. See, all that was not happening if he would have named himself the Elk or the White Rabbit or Smoke Bryant. I don't think we were gonna fall for all that or let him get away with it. I mean, it was already borderline pretentious, the Black Mamba. What the f is a Mamba? We didn't know. He thought he was teaching folks. But it had the word the. And you know, it was a smart decision to go with the instead of trying to pull off Mamba Bryant, because we're looser with the thes. We're more accepting of our nicknames if it has a the. We get away with something like the Round Mound of Rebound, the Mailman. Who wants to be known as the Mailman? But it's cool when you stick it in the middle and add a the. Also, he hit us with the word black. Oh man, provocative, right? Is it a race thing? Oh. Now he's really hitting folks' buttons for all the wrong and right reasons. Whether it's immediate solidarity or initial trepidation, you toss the word black in front of a nickname and you're ringing extra bells there and playing a much more primary game. You're effing with folks now. Really, think about it. Gary Payton, the glove. What if Gary Payton was the black glove? What does that do for you? What does that mean? How does that ring in your brain? That's different than the glove. It's technically sound. There are black gloves, just like the black Mambas, but it's got a different ring to it. It settles with all of us individually differently. And then of course, Mamba, some rare-ass lizard that nobody knew shit about. Smart, because none of us had an association with this animal. Reptile. It was free to be his. He couldn't go around calling himself the black bear. Bears are everywhere. We all already feel a type of way about bears. For good or bad or for yummy. So this creature was his. And again, what I'm getting at here is that it's all character building. And Kobe is in a rare situation where he just went ahead and built his own. He built everything about the way we see him. I believe there's not much about him that he did, said, or pretended to do out on a basketball court or around a court that wasn't part of his character crafting. But he's slipping. He's overstepped his bounds. He's overselling his hand. He's assuming we are all under his Mamba spell, and he is actively, forcefully trying to push his world, his handcrafted and manufactured persona over our heads. And the conditioning is clear.
Mamba Mentality is a constant quest.
And blatant.
Mamba Mentality is, you're going, you're competing, you're not worried about the end result.
And getting to a point where it's almost offensive.
That's what Mamba Mentality truly is.
Kobe, we let you have Mamba, but god damn it, Kobe, I'm almost at the point where I may be the one to have to say it. Mamba Mentality is not a thing. As he spends his plump afternoons issuing his own Mamba challenges. And now, with your arrogance and bold Mamba ways, you introduce this whole musing angle.
Use cake.
Good heavenly crapbox, Kobe. The muse play is weak. It's transparent. Kobe, bestowing the mindset of a non-existent approach onto our current players, musing this, musing that, just hoping they take it and skip along with your marketing strategy. You can't roll out this felt purple worm and have us all buy into it.
I don't like dark musings.
Most people don't.
What are you talking about? What is this? Stop! Stop it! No, Kobe. This is not a thing. You cannot create your own lore and legend, your own mythology. We're on to you. The least you can do is find some cousin you grew up with and give him credit. Tell us that he used to call you the Muse back in the day. If you and I have learned anything from the greatest legend maker of all, Michael Jordan, keep a couple of guys on the payroll that you could dust off and roll out every time you need to confirm an old legend, an origin story. Because if it works for him, as we've seen, it'll work for you. You're a great storyteller. The greatest legend of all is the legend that we believe that the legend had nothing to do with. And that didn't make any sense.